Welcome into Gamesthetic episode 206. I'm Knox Light with Sparky3. Hopefully you're having a phenomenal day today, whatever day you are listening or watching this show. We appreciate the hell out of you. I got both the boys here with me. Zach, buddy, how you doing?
I'm good. We're only on 206.
Only on 206. We've done a lot of bonus stuff in the past, so that's probably why.
No, it's not that. I feel like we should be further.
Well, you see, I do too, but it's a mix of like breaks and bonus stuff kind of fills those gaps, you know? Because it's kind of the same thing with AniMan Plus. When that was still going strong, we did a lot of bonus shit. So like in terms of episode number count, we didn't fill as far as long as we should have. You know what I mean?
Well, that one I had no issue with. I just feel like with this show, I mean, we're already fixing to go into March, but we're only at 206, and 200 was the start of the year.
Oh, I see your point. Yeah.
So
have we missed a lot of episodes this year so far?
Apparently so.
Yes.
Oh, okay. Well, I think
apparently
There's been a lot more breaks at the start of this year.
Yeah,
Okay.
because apparently in 2 months we've only done 6 episodes.
Oh, okay. All right. I see what you're saying. Yeah, I guess we have taken more breaks this year. Oh, well, that's probably my fault, so my bad. My schedule has been crazy recently, so I apologize. John, how are you?
I'm doing all right. A little tired.
Here to talk about Avowed.
Yeah, it's part of why I'm tired.
Yeah,
Just been playing a lot.
A lot of Avowed. Yeah, so that did drop this week on Game Pass, so we're going to be chatting about that. We also had, Zach, you played some Tribe 9, yeah?
Yep.
Cool. We're going to be chatting about Tribe 9 as well as a few other things here or there to kind of touch on, like with the NetEase layoffs and just some interesting information that came out of that and a few other things here or there. But first and foremost, if you could, just follow the channel, follow the show. We'd appreciate that. Shout out to our Tier 2 Patreon handle. We appreciate you. Check out the Patreon down below if you want to support the brand further. And we would definitely appreciate that extra support. As well as the extra support, checking out some Rogue Energy and some Agent Inc. as well. Both down in the descriptions below. And join the Discord. Switch to 3 cams, boys. And let's turn this entire music down now. I'm also a little tired, so I do feel you. Just kind of that tired Saturday, I guess. I don't know. Just one of those days. But hopefully everyone's doing well. Anything you guys want to chat about before we jump into like Avowed or something? Anything you want to shout out, throw out into the universe?
I mentioned it to you before we started. I wanted to just briefly cover Celeste 2's demo did drop.
Shout out.
Previously, they had said that the demo would come out at the next Steam's Next Fest.
Mm-hmm.
Then they were too excited to drop what they had and just released it.
Nice.
So don't know how long it's going to be around for. I mean, it's honestly pretty great. It's not that long of a section. It's just a vertical slice that they made with a preset party of 4, where you kind of go along a short section of an adventure just to mainly show off graphical updates, voice acting, and kind of how animations and stuff work. But some animations in that are, I mean, a lot of it is still in progress, but it is definitely a step up in quality.
Right.
Like voice acting wise, great. I mean, it's in Unreal Engine now, so I mean, it looks fantastic. I will say, going back and playing like a smaller team's version of like a D&D campaign, man, it's a little jarring jumping back and forth after playing Baldur's Gate because there's little things in there that I hope get added, but it's like for traversal reasons across the world and how Celeste does it, they don't have to worry about it. Like jumping gaps, like you just kind of click to the area and your characters will automatically jump over the gaps. Whereas in like Baldur's Gate, like you click over there, you actually have to stop, use the jump action and stuff like that. Not usually a problem, but in the demo there were multiple times where it may be something that gets added, but in combat there wasn't like a jump option.
Mm-hmm.
And like there was a point where I was fighting enemies that weren't a ledge above me, so I had to run around the ledge to go do it, and I was like, man, I miss jumping. But no, the game looks amazing. It plays well. It's a level 3 section that you're playing, so you get a couple level 2 spell slots in that. But basically, just excited that it's here. I played through it. I didn't finish it earlier. I just played it briefly to get an idea of it and kind of see how the game played. Very similar to it. UI is different than I'm used to, or different than it was in like Solasta. So a little getting used to camera controls, getting used to, but overall, just makes me excited for the game.
Is that coming out this year?
It's slated for the towards the end of the year.
Okay, all right. Yeah, shout out once again to the Game Awards pre-show. You guys just chilling. It's just like Zach's like, oh, Solasta. John's like, oh, okay, hold on.
Well, it was one of those where it's like
It was running in his head.
I think most people had no idea what it was until Solasta popped up.
Right.
But it was like the trailer started, and it's like the person slowly walking forward, like the purple kind of spreading out from their feet, and I'm just sitting there in my head. I'm like, is this Solasta?
Right.
So yeah, I'm very excited for it.
Yeah.
I'm very excited for that game to come out so I can play it. I loved Solasta. I played through Solasta probably 10 to 15 times through various character. I mean, I played through it in just about every combination of characters that I wanted to.
Right.
So very, very, very excited for it now after playing this.
Nice. Shout out to Solasta too. In some non-gaming related things, I am going to see this week. I'm going to go see the new Captain America, and everything I've seen on it has been interesting. Because like the one thing I've seen about it nonstop is like it's so interesting that they made a Captain America movie that is a sequel to the Hulk and a sequel to the Eternals in a small sense, and it's just like. The original script you had was a Captain America movie. What happened? Like, how did we get here with a Hulk movie?
From what I've heard, it's
Hulk hasn't gotten a movie since the
2009.
Yeah.
This is basically a sequel to that movie.
Cool.
Yeah. So shout out because the leader is in this movie, who got his thing at the end of that 2009 movie. They got the same actor to come back for it. And now you got, obviously, as all the promotional stuff has, is Red Hulk, whatever. But it's essentially a Hulk sequel, but it's a Captain America movie.
I mean, same as Civil War.
That's a baby Avengers movie.
Yeah, it wasn't a Captain America movie. It was an Avengers movie.
That was a baby Avengers movie.
Yeah, I don't know. From everything I've heard about the new Captain America movie, it's broadly fine.
Yeah, it's just it's a fine movie. That's what I've gotten to. It's the weakest of the Captain America movies, but it's still just a fine movie. So I don't know. It'll be an experience, I guess. It'll be fun.
I mean, people are just gonna have to accept this because apparently Captain America films are never gonna be about Captain America anymore.
Yeah, no, I guess not.
It's also one where it's kind of funny hearing people say that because I have a very different opinion on the Captain America movies than everybody else. Apparently,
right.
Everybody else holds the Winter Soldier as like one of the best movies,
Best superhero movies ever.
one of the best superhero movies ever. Meanwhile, it's one of my least favorite.
That's so upsetting because I love the Winter Soldier so
I mean,
damn
it's
much.
good. I mean,
Yeah. But no, look, it's going to be one of those that you just go in and you just enjoy the ride. Because apparently one of the big highlights, of course, is all the action sequences are freaking incredible. So I'm like, I would hope so. Cap, Sam flying around at high speeds, doing Captain America things at high speeds. Hopefully, we're gonna get some cool shit out of it.
see, the only kicker is if they did it as also a Fantastic Four tease, and we just got a Ben Grimm versus Hulk moment.
Yo, I love the Marvel Rivals clips I'm seeing of those two. Dude, where it's just like on site, if it's Hulk and Thing against each other, it's on site. Like just the funny shit I see of just like two separate teams, it's from the POV of the Thing, and he comes up and there's a Hulk across the way approaching the point, and Hulk was like running up, and then the moment he sees the Thing, he stops running and just starts walking. And then the Hulk types in chat, "Yo, let me get the Thing." And they just start duking it out on the point.
See, it's all these clips that happen. I just went in my head. I was like, oh yeah, I guess the Thing and Hulk have fought a lot in the comics.
Yeah, I saw a little montage of that also, of just like the Hulk and the Thing's little rivalry. And there was like a clip from one of the, the like Avengers like cartoon shows, whatever, where Hulk, I think it was Hulk, Cap, Thing, and like one other character were all playing poker, and Thing's just like, oh, full house, and Hulk's just like, and just jumps over the table and starts beating the shit out of the thing. It's like it's on site every time with those two. So those clips have been really funny to see. So I don't know. Either way, shout out though. Hope we'll see if the movie is as fun as it's kind of made out to be. But anyway, so John, how is Xbox's new release Avowed? Is the hype real? That's the first question.
Let me just start off. Avowed is great.
Oh, perfect.
I mean it's a great game, I would say. It's not like, for me, it's not like something I'm gonna play like an aggressive amount. I'm about 21, 22 hours in the game, and I'm at the end of the, like, I'm heading towards like the final mission in the third zone. And I've been doing like everything that I come across. And I don't know, I think there's either 4 or 5 zones in the game. I don't know exactly. I think it's 4. But I mean, baseline, Avowed, great. But in Avowed, you play as a created character. So like the story is basically, your character is what is called a godlike, where like as a baby you were touched by a god, or like a god like touched your soul or something as a baby, which left you with like physical marks displaying that you were a godlike, or that you've been touched by a god. And like, I don't remember all the like the nation names, but you are like the envoy of the, I think it's the Adrian Empire's like top guy.
Yeah.
You're his like envoy that's been sent to the Living Lands to try to figure out what's going on with the Dream Scourge. And the Dream Scourge is an illness that, like, once somebody kind of gets infected with it, there's no cure, and they slowly start to go mad and then start like attacking any non-Dream Scourged entity that they see. So like they would attack villagers or anybody that's not sick, basically. Yeah. So like loosely, that's the overarching story of the game. So it's like you get sent over, and then you're kind of like in the first area you meet with like, or you show up to town to meet with the ambassador and that, and then like he's not in town. You got to go. It's like you immediately get sent out to go try to find him, and then as soon as you get there, basically it's just big open zone. Go do your thing. It's like you can either beeline questing or you can just run around and explore. But in each zone, the enemies come in like differing difficulty levels. Basically, if you see enemies that have like skulls next to their name, each skull represents one like gear level higher than you they are. And there's 5 levels of it. There's like the normal, common, it's basically like white, green, blue, purple, orange.
Okay.
Right.
I forget the names they have exactly for it because it's not like standard, like rare, uncommon, and that. But it's like if you kind of explore the zone pretty well, you pretty much have the resource to upgrade at least 1 or 2 weapons, like a full tier or 2, by the time you enter into the next zone. And as you get closer to like the ending sequences of the zone, you start finding some of the resources need to upgrade to the tier beyond that. So you kind of go into the new zone and already have some stuff to be able to upgrade. And as you play through the zones, you get different companions. I think right now I have 4 companions, and you can bring 2 with you at any given time. But it's like for the zone that you go to, you kind of have to bring, once you get introduced to a new companion, it's basically like, okay, well, to progress, I kind of have to have this person with me, even when like like you'll start talking to them and to progress the story. They're like, okay, who's staying behind? And then they just make you choose then. But for general exploration, you can take whichever two you like. And then it's like there's different combat styles in the game. There's melee weapons, range weapons. For range weapons, it's bow and arrow, and then pistol or long gun, essentially. And then there's magic. And I've been playing a mage with a gun.
Sounds like just a great way to play. Sounds a lot better than what I was trying to do.
So yeah, I have a grimoire and a pistol as my primary, and then I have a secondary grimoire that has like different spells in it.
Yeah.
As like my secondary, so I can cycle through. But I do like the way the magic in the game works, because like you can upgrade any of the spells as long as you have like the level required for them. So even if your grimoire doesn't have a spell that you want to use in there, you can still use it. But if you have a spell unlocked that you've put points into that is also in the grimoire that you have, and you cast it from like the grimoire itself, it casts it one level higher, and each spell has 3 levels associated with it, which makes it a lot more fun. It gives you a little more flexibility with it. But yeah, exploring is kind of interesting because like I said, I've kind of been running around and trying to do as much exploring in each zone as I can. And I'm at the end of the 3rd zone. I'm pretty sure there's stuff I missed because it wasn't until the 2nd zone that I was into I realized that like just talking to some of the NPCs will give you can give you additional quests. Because like as you're running around, there'll be the standard like side quest character that has an exclamation point over their head. But anybody that you walk up to and talk to and actually enter into a dialogue sequence with can give you a quest as well. And I didn't realize that at first, but I also kind of don't want to go back to the 1st zone and try to do any more side quests.
Right.
But yeah, I've been trying to do as much exploring as I can. I feel like I've gotten a lot of it done. I haven't really missed anything that I feel is important. So I have a feeling that by the time I finish the game, I'm gonna basically be done with it, because I'll have done like pretty much every major thing that I could find, as well as doing as much exploring as I could.
Yeah. So not one you're going to go back to kind of thing.
It's one I may go back to eventually just to try a different play style with it.
Yeah.
Or if they release an interesting DLC or something.
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah. Because like I told you before, like as soon as it kind of clicked, I was like, oh yeah, I'm playing the game. What do I want to play? There was only ever one thing I wanted to play, which is Wizard with a Gun.
Yeah, which sounds really fun. And I wish I would have thought of that.
But like as I've been playing it, I've found a bunch of like unique like weapons and armor and stuff in the game that kind of makes me want to go like eventually go back to it and play like a big 2-handed like melee attacker. Because that could be fun.
Right.
But just like one thing in the game, like not necessarily equipment, but just like some of the stuff in the game, like the throwables and like the food that's in the game are incredibly powerful. Because it's like there'll be points, like the only time I use like health potions or like essence potions, which are basically like mana potions.
Yeah.
Only time I use those are in combat. Because early on in the game, they're expensive to buy. Now they're not. It's not a problem for me. Like I'll buy a shop out whenever I see it now. But like early on in the game, it's expensive to buy. It's not really worth using. And plus, like you could buy food in the game for like 1/10 of the price that gives you as much healing, if not more. And the same with essence. The only problem is in combat, if you eat food, the regen is slower. So in combat, I'll use potions if I need to. But at this point, I don't usually need to because I kind of just run in, cast like 3 or 4 big AoE spells, and everything just blows up. or it's like everything either blows up or it's frozen, and then I can like just like chain knock them back or chain stun them.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's like some of the equipment you get is incredibly powerful like that, because they have a bunch of different throwables. They have like grenades, they have like essentially frost grenades, regular grenades, fire grenades, lightning grenades, and poison grenades.
Okay.
They are all they're very strong. There's no like levels or anything to them, but they scale incredibly well. Because like I'm still just like chucking them in on enemies, like at the end of the third zone. And it's like, and they'll do just as much damage to them as they were at the very beginning of the game.
Dang, that's nice.
But yeah, definitely fun game. Exploring is like, you don't necessarily have to explore and do all the side stuff if you don't want to.
Yeah, you can just beeline it or whatever.
But I find more enjoyment like when I enter into a zone. It's like, okay, your first objective when you enter in this new zone, make your way to the main central town and like do your quest, start the quest line there, and you can pick up all the side quests along the way. I'm like, nah, I'm gonna run around this edge of the map and try to find all of the fast travel zones that I can, and then once I start encountering enemies that are a little too tough for me to fight without upgrading my gear, then I'll go to town. And that's kind of how I've been playing it. It's worked out pretty well. Nice. There's only been one time where I entered into an area and was like, yeah, I'm gonna have to come back here, and didn't just finish clearing it out. It's like the one combat death that I have so far.
Yeah.
Was just picking a fight a little too above my station at the time.
One like a 2 or 3 skull zone.
Oh yeah.
I think we all do that at some point in a game like this.
No, my worst enemy in this game is gravity.
Oh.
He returns.
The John trademark.
Well, I don't know how dangerous falls are, because I don't put points into like max health or constitution, so I have low health, especially for the zone that I'm in.
So anytime you walk off a small cliff,
It's like
it murders you.
I've got a decent judge at this point of cliffs that I can jump off of safely, but at the same time, when you're parkouring around, trying to parkour your way up a cliff, because you just don't want to walk around it.
Yeah.
Sometimes like the game just kind of fucks you.
All right.
Because like sometimes when you're parkour your way up, because it's spacebar to climb.
Yeah.
Okay.
But spacebar
Is
and
also
a direction
jump?
spacebar is jump, but spacebar and a direction is
dodge
also
roll?
dodge. So like I'll be trying to like parkour my way up, and I'll accidentally tap like D or S, and next thing you know, I'm gone. And then I'm just sitting there like spacebar and like, please just clamber onto something. Grab a ledge, do something, please.
Ballpark, how many deaths have you had because of gravity?
It's probably only like 12.
Okay, that's not as bad as I thought.
I mean,
There's been a few times where like I'll jump off a cliff because I see water down at the bottom, but it's knee-high water instead of a pool.
Oh, well, no.
so it doesn't break the fall.
Yeah.
It breaks the fall if it's like a reasonable depth,
Yeah.
but it's not like, oh, tiny puddle of water, I can jump into that. Also, really nice, this game, it just lets you swim.
Yeah.
Swimming is a big part of exploration. You can find a bunch of stuff just swimming around.
Nice. Now, I did have a question for you. Kind of random question, but it's something that I came across and I thought it was interesting. Now, I know I already asked you this question a couple days ago, but for the sake of the show, I'm going to ask you again. For your character, did you hide your godlike features? Because they do give you that option, or do you have it on full display?
I have it on full display. The thing is, if you hide the characteristics, people will still comment on them.
They still comment on it, because that was the reason I was asking. Because like when I was looking at all the godlike features, I'll be honest, none of them I really liked.
I didn't really care.
Some of them kind of creep me out. Not gonna lie.
I went for the one that was the least intrusive, which is like the cheek marks.
Okay. So I went ahead and went for like kind of over the top. I went for like the like the roots off the head with all the fungus and everything, whatever. And I had like the matching face to go with it. But like I was kind of curious. It's like, oh, should I just hide all this because I don't really like any of this? And I found like a Reddit thread of someone's just like, yeah. So I played 15 hours and hid my features and absolutely regretted it and restarted the game just because of how much of a focus that is throughout the game. Where people just like, I mean, it was one of my first interactions with that prisoner or whatever. She's like, oh, look at your face. Damn.
People like in the game, people gotta relax off of. Well, I'm not going to tell you why they relax off of like
Don't tell me why.
It being like your godlike feature being like the thing that they're commenting on about you, and it's more of you being from the Adrian Empire.
Okay.
Because as a non-spoiler, because it is like very apparent early on, the land you've gone to, they do not like your people.
Okay, well, good to know.
No, very few people there are fond of the people where you come from.
Gotcha.
He's from the Empire and he's got an ugly mug.
Oh, Jesus.
I will say one thing I do kind of like about the game is when you do side quests, there's like 4 different ways that you can the quest can kind of turn out.
Oh, that's nice.
And like the bare bones of it is like if you do a side quest and it's like, hey, go retrieve this and bring it back to me. You can give it to them. Like you can just give it to them, or you can or like in the dialogue, you can be like, yeah, I went and got this, but I'm going to need some extra money for this. It's like, I went and did this, pay me extra. And then some missions, you get the, like, some of them are like, you'll be told to go get something, but it may not necessarily be like a legal substance in the town, and you can either give it back to that person or you can give it to someone else. And then, because I kind of had that happen where I forgot who I was talking, or who was the person I was supposed to give it to. Came back, gave it to the other guy, and then I went and talked to the guy who gave me the quest initially, and he's like, what do you mean you talked to him? And I'm like, oh, by the way, some people died on this mission. He's like, what the fuck? He's like, how could the day get any worse?
Open up. We'll kind of bring you in.
But no, like during side quests, a lot of times you can choose to just complete the quest with them, extort them from extra money. Sometimes you can just choose to attack them. And then there was something else. Oh, sometimes there's people like intermediate characters in the quest that like you can either kind of have them side with you, or sometimes they're kind of a dick, so you just kill them. I've killed a lot of people. I was kind of playing it through kind of morally, where I was like, I'm like, okay, well, it's like, I understand where you guys are coming from and everything, but then too many people were like bad mouthing me, or like acting superior. Now anybody that does that, it's on site.
Yeah, it's on site. John, at least you tried.
And
you tried to be the nice guy.
Oh, he's God touch.
Let me tell you, after you turn in a bunch of quests, man, everybody, like all your companions in your camp, want to talk to you about like quests and stuff that you've completed. Usually, like how they're resolved. Man, some people don't like how many people I've killed. Other people in the camp are like, I mean, they kind of had it coming.
Respect. Those are real ones.
The one who mostly is like, I mean, they had it coming. They made their choices. Is probably the one that you would enjoy having in your party the most. It's
okay.
Kai. It's the guy who's voiced by the guy who did Garrus.
Oh, buddy, here we go. My boy is back.
He's the first. He's the first companion you get.
Hell yeah.
So another bromance.
He's pretty supportive of people get what they got coming.
My man. Let's go.
So it's literally Mass Effect 2 Garrus.
It really is Mass Effect 2 Garrus. Even Mass Effect 1 Garrus too.
Not so much.
Well, Mass Effect 1, you can kind of talk him down a little bit, you know.
But yeah, it's like one of the like fun parts about the game is I was a little worried that like there wouldn't be a bunch of unique weapons because like they call weapons and armor like unique. It's basically just ones that have a name and they have their unique effect that they have. The fun part about those is you get like crafting materials. Each unique weapon has like 3 choices for its unique effect. Like I've been using the same pistol since the first like beginning of the game that I found. I've just been upgrading it over and over again because I like it.
Yeah.
It's one that it adds additional shock or like additional damage for shock. So it's like 10% more damage is added as shock damage. But it has like 3 effects to it. It's like either high shock accumulation to the target you hit, shock accumulation to targets close by the one you hit, or there's a chance that when you kill an enemy, it creates like a shocking or like an area of damage. So it's like each unique weapon has 3 things that it has there. Like I found a long gun in the game that has a unique effect that like a power shot will ricochet between people. I haven't used it, but I wanted to use it. But that's not the type of wizard I'm playing. So yeah, the unique weapons and armor are kind of fun.
Right.
For the most part, like I'm using armor that gives me movement speed for the most part. So I'm fast as fuck.
Fast as fuck.
I run fast. I got boots that give me movement speed and armor that gives me more movement speed. I run across the map real fast.
Nice. Now, how many hours are you in right now? Because I know when we chat, you said
like
15.
It's like 21 or 22.
All right, so 21, 22. I mean, obviously, there's a lot more game to go. But at this present stage, most important question here. Where does it fall on the board? Temp for the moment, TBD.
I mean, I would call it a solid 8 out of 10 right now.
Very good. Nice.
I would call it a very good game right now. Like for me, I don't see this game crossing into a 9 out of 10.
Right.
At any point. Like honestly, the longer I play it, it's kind of like it's not that it's overstaying its welcome because it's all going pretty quickly. It's just I'm kind of getting over the storylines because a lot of the storylines are like in between the main stuff. A lot of the storylines, I'm kind of like, man, you guys are all asking for the same stuff here.
Right. Okay.
It's like each zone, it's like, okay, somebody wants me to go collect some badges of people that
so
died.
It's kind of repetitive.
It's like some of the quest lines are kind of repetitive. Some of it's interesting. But like the main story stuff is kind of more interesting. Mainly just because it starts out as nobody knows what the fuck's going on. And then over time, we're kind of getting an idea. And then kind of we're like right now I'm kind of charged. I'm charging full head in right now. So we'll see where it goes from here. But yeah, for me personally, this I would say 8 out of 10. No chance of it crossing into 9.
Right. Hey, good rating though. That's
It's
a
like,
very good game.
It's fun to play, but like especially if I was playing it as a melee play style, I don't know how much fun I would be having necessarily. Because I would have to be doing a lot of damage with like my melee and that to make it more fun than strolling into a group of like 15 enemies, casting a couple giant AoEs, and then like weaving in and out and like casting my spells and shooting.
Right.
Like I don't know what the melee play style would have over that. It seems like it would be kind of that, but slower. That'd be tankier, which would be nice.
I mean, you said there's a lot of good throwables. I mean, throwing a bomb, charge through the smoke, axe somebody in half.
Well, that's the thing. It's like it could be a lot of fun. I haven't participated in it. But yeah, a lot of the throwable, like since I've been playing as a wizard, didn't really click in my mind. I had a thought like 15 hours in. I was like, because there's a lot of like exploration where you need different elements to like break through walls or like burn down webs.
Yeah.
And I'm like, how do you do this if you're not a wizard? And then I'm looking at my inventory. I'm like, oh, that's probably what all these different throwables are for. Because, like, yeah, it's like there'll be points where you throw a grenade at a wall to break it open, or there's, like, jail cells or, like, grates that you can hit with ice to break them open and stuff like that. Webs and spider dens that you burn down.
I don't like the sound of that.
They're goofy spiders.
Oh, okay.
There's a lot of spiders, and there's a lot of spiders. There's a lot of bears. It's not a lot of unique enemies.
Oh, well, that's also unfortunate to hear.
It's like, at least so far, like,
Pretty basic.
yeah.
Yeah.
So like, it's like 6 or 7 different like enemy types that I've kind of seen in like 20 hours.
Right.
It's like it's a lot of repetitive stuff or like different color versions of it or something like that. Because like in the first zone, there's a lot of like spiders and beetles, and then now in the third zone, there's a lot of spiders and beetles, but they're a different color.
Yes.
But yeah, overall game's fun. Exploration's kind of fun. I like being able to like clamber up on stuff is kind of nice, but it also leads to some frustration where you look at a rock face and you're like, I should be able to clamber up this, and then you just can't.
Yeah.
So yeah, exploration's fun. I like the ability to like be able to swim and like actually go underwater and like look for stuff. And yeah, overall fun. Combat's whatever.
Yeah. Nothing groundbreaking, but it does what it needs to do.
It's fun as a wizard. I don't think it'd be as fun if I was just playing
Melee.
with like martial weapons.
Yeah. So I only played like an hour of the game, and that's
Although-
about what I was doing.
I will say I knew I wanted to play a wizard with a gun the whole time. I did try out wands because wands are in the game. So I was like, oh, maybe I'll play with wands, and I'll have instead of having like a second grimoire as a backup, maybe I'll have a long gun instead of a pistol.
Okay.
Very quickly gave up on wands. I did not like them at all.
Okay, good to know. So wizard with a gun is just flat out the best option.
Wizard with a gun, way more fun.
Okay, yeah.
There's a ton of perks in the game too.
So is there just magical wands, or is there staffs as well?
It's just wands. It's wands and grimoires.
Gotcha.
Okay.
Gotcha.
And then there's like special there's grimoires of like tons of different types. So there's like grimoire of elements, which has the first tier of like all the elemental spells. There's greater elements, which has the second tier. And then there's ones where it's like a grimoire of sparks, which is like all the lightning spells. Grimoire of rhyme, which is like all the ice spells, and then there's like different combinations of them within that.
Yeah.
So it's like I've kind of settled on like grimoire of storms, which is like a blizzard, a chain lightning, a thunderstorm. But it's like the nice thing is like the perks in the game, because like every time you level up, you get another perk that you can put into a tree. The nice thing is you don't have to level up. Like there's different tiers of each like skill tree. So
Okay.
there's like warrior, ranger, wizard, and that. You don't have to level it up to go to the next tier. So like it's just
Oh, that's
your level
nice.
base. So like
yeah.
I could be I'm a level 20. Most of my points are in wizard, but if I wanted to put something in like the level 20 section of warrior, I can just put it there.
That's
you don't have
nice.
to like level up each
Yeah, you don't have
tier.
to stack the tree and specialize.
Yeah, so it's like you can mix and match pretty easily because I have a few ranger things, like a little bit extra gun damage, a little bit extra healing from food and stuff like that.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to actually sitting down and hopefully being in the mood for it, because that's been my problem. I only played like an hour, maybe, and honestly, maybe restarting and do Wizard with a Gun will be maybe get me more into it. It's one of those cases that, like, you know, I know you've said this on the show before, where it's not the game's fault, it's my fault. That's the situation I'm in. It's just not the game I want to play, as I quickly found out after about an hour. Hour of playtime, by the way, and that's not counting the time building my character, which is like 20 minutes, whatever. Actual hour of playtime, and it's just not the game I want to play. It's kind of similar to how I dropped Dragon Age, even though I've almost completed it. It's just not what I want to play. I'm just like, kind of a shitty thing to say. It's like, oh yeah, that's just all I want. All I want to play right now is just Marvel Rivals. It's got me in a death grip, and that's all my brain can think about.
I will say, like, especially for you who's thinking of starting as a wizard, and anybody that hasn't picked it, if you are going to start as a wizard, first few levels are a bit rough, just because by nature of how you play wizard, like with the grimoires, when you like in the wizard tree, there's a perk called like grimoire mastery. The more points you put into that, and the more you've upgraded your grimoire, it lowers the essence cost of spells. So early on, you're paying like 100% cost of all your spells, which means you kind of run out of essence real fast. Which means you need potions or food to be able to get it, which early on it's a little harder to come by. It's part of why the food is so good, because the food is 1/10 of the cost of like the potions. And it's like, yeah, you may only get 5 essence from it, but I can buy 10 of those and end up with more essence than I would from buying a potion.
Yeah.
But yeah, early on it's a bit rough with it. Like for the first few levels, like I was spell casting, but I was also playing around with different guns, testing them out, seeing how, just testing different equipment and seeing how it played. And then once I got a few levels in it, I went full wizard.
Nice. So yeah, no, big shout out to Avowed. A solid 8 out of 10 as of now. Shout out to Obsidian. Overall, just launched, like we mentioned last week, Obsidian's kind of become like one of Xbox's secret weapons, where they just put out solid games. 7 out of 10, 8 out of 10s, the 9 out of 10s. They just put out good games. So it looks like they've done it again. And it's kind of interesting seeing this game come out to honestly, the kind of praise that it's got, because like I've seen some people kind of throw out there. It's just like, man, like already in like February had this, and I think there was something else that came out, and something else that's about to come out or whatever. It's like, man, Xbox is setting themselves up for a big year. It's like, oh, I would hope so.
Well, so yeah, I mean, they've needed it for the past 8 years.
I would hope so, with how many things got kicked down the road.
This is their last hurrah for this generation.
Yeah.
Where they're finally releasing stuff and Sony's canceling everything.
Yeah, exactly. It's kind of crazy. I'm glad you mentioned that, because that's going to help us lead into our next topic. So shout out.
Just briefly before we hop, like I said, for Avowed, I think by the time I roll credits and I'm kind of done with the game, it's going to be about 30 hours completion time for me, which I think is going to be fine, because I think if it stayed around more than that, it would be overstaying its welcome for me.
That's good. Yeah.
So yeah, if you're doing, like I'm doing everything that I can possibly do or come across or see, every quest that I see, I'm trying to do. I'm doing all the exploration, and any like little hidden stuff that I find, I'm trying to do. I should roll credits by 30 hours. So that's a decent like milestone you could look at as like time to complete.
Question: based on how this game's been going so far, do you feel like it has an after game content at all, or do you think once you hit that credits, that's it? Okay.
Done.
From how it's gone so far, I don't think so.
Okay.
Done. Okay. Well, good to know. Good to know. And honestly, that's a great number. I don't remember who commented on this. It's one of the directors for one of these new upcoming games, because I have like a bunch of like game notes, whatever, in the weekly wrap up, which some of them have about game length time. And one of those directors talked about, we need to go away from 100-hour games. Like, we need to go away from that. And I'm just like, I agree. 100%.
It depends.
Depends on the game.
It depends on the game.
Yeah,
it's like
I was about to say,
games that are designed to be 100 hours long are designed to engage you for that entire length of time.
correct.
Yeah.
If Avowed tried to be a 100-hour game and it's what I'm playing right now, I'd stop playing it.
Yeah. That's fair.
That reminds me, would you have played more Redfall than Avowed?
No, I played 10 hours of Redfall.
Okay.
And almost completely finished the game.
Yeah, I almost completed everything in the game.
I couldn't remember what your completion time on Redfall was.
I didn't roll credits on it, but I was probably an hour and a half from rolling credits.
Are you going to go back and roll credits?
I've thought about it.
Oh. You got to do it with the controller.
Yeah,
Yeah, I mean, I've thought about doing it. I mean,
Yeah.
the problem
Just to
is
say that you did.
the problem is it just wasn't a fun game.
Right, right.
At least Avowed's a fun game still.
I mean,
Right.
it got some performance
Yeah,
upgrades right
it
at the
might be
end.
better now.
Yeah, but the core game wasn't fun.
Yeah,
Okay,
that's
yeah,
fair.
fair. You can't fix that. Once that's
It at
broke,
least
that's
looked
broke.
prettier.
Yeah, exactly. All right, let me shout out some stuff. I still have not got an updated graphic, so I'll just go full screen for me. Let's shout out some merch, though. Go over to Agent Inc. with the referral link down below. You can pick up our Sparky 3 jersey, one of the hats, or our shirt. We'd appreciate that extra support by using the referral link down below. You can also go over to sparky3shop.com and you pick up some shirts over there, whether if it's we got some Gamesthetic shirts, ATFS. We have the very lovely B shirt. You can pick that up, as well as there's some hats over there as well. So head over to sparky3shop.com or Agent Inc. with the referral link down below and pick up some merch, and we'd appreciate that. I need to get that graphic updated. I need to get it. I'm gonna probably just do a graphic that has both on the same slide. Just shout everything out as one. I usually do anyway, so I need to get that done. All right. So next thing I've got is I got a question for you boys that I saw that I thought would be that will kill 10 minutes. So I thought it was an interesting question just because of how. This is something we've talked about basically to some
I think
extent.
we've talked about this recently.
Yeah, I feel like we
did.
Yeah, and the question that I saw popped up and proposed in like a video and stuff is the 9th generation the most boring generation of gaming that we've had? I feel like the question can also be rephrased as, is it the most disappointing? And if that's the question, it's an overwhelming yes. I feel like most people can say in some capacity, some shape or form. But is this current generation of gaming like the most boring? Disappointing, I would say absolutely. Because it's kind of interesting. You look at all three major companies, right, with consoles. You have Nintendo with the Switch, who's done incredible in terms of sales, but it's obviously very much overstayed its welcome. And now we're finally going to get the Switch 2 for the 9th generation here sometime this year. But even still, when we get it, we're still going to have some older hardware. The problem that we have with the Switch, we're going to have again with the Switch 2 in 4 or 5 years, whatever. And then you have Xbox, who's delayed everything, and at this point is going full multi-plat and is basically going to become just a publisher. And then you have Sony, who went all in on live service and has had failures and cancellations nonstop. So it's just like, is this the most boring generation that we've had? That's where it's kind of like, it depends on how you look at the games that has come out. But in the question of disappointment, the answer is an overwhelming yes. I was just kind of curious you guys' thoughts.
It's a weird thing to try to say that it's like a boring. I mean, like somewhat recency bias, but then also like I'll bring up a big example of non-recency bias when we've had like over the last year or so, especially like games come out that just explode and take off. Like, think of Helldivers 2. And that is like currently like Kingdom Come Deliverance 2.
Black Myth Wukong.
It's like is taken over. Black Myth Wukong took over the world. And then it's like it's been a few years, but you got to think back. Elden Ring.
Yeah.
Elden Ring is still a staple, and it's still one that people are like clamoring for content of. So it's weird to say it's a boring generation or like a disappointing generation when there have been multiple games in the past few years that are kind of like generation defining games.
Yeah, I'm sort of with John on that. I mean, in terms of like the generation as a whole, I personally would not say it is necessarily a disappointing generation. No, if we're talking like specifically this generation's like exclusives, I would say it's probably one of the very disappointing and whatnot, and sort of lackluster for the most part, just because we had one side which we're finally getting at the end of what seems like the 9th generation, and the other side they front loaded all their ones, and now we got Jack All for the end here in terms of just exclusives. And overall, the generation itself, I mean, I wouldn't say it's the worst, because I mean it's just about every generation for the most part has its hits and misses. Because I mean overall spread, I mean it's been an okay generation. I mean we've gotten several, as John mentioned, defining games across what's considered the ninth generation, as well as some more. I'm thinking, trying to phrase as, I guess necessarily progress with other things, such as like the VR's come a long way with during this generation of gaming.
That's true. Yeah.
And whatnot. This generation of game was also unfortunately hit with the 2020 plague, which killed us for like 3 years.
Yep.
So I mean,
And that's when the generation launched too. Let's not forget that.
so I mean, the generation did sort of suffer in that in terms of that, just due to pandemic, unfortunately, which pushed everyone back, which we couldn't really do a bunch of. No one could do anything about.
Right.
It pushed a bunch of people back, and also got several games canceled and developers shut down and whatnot during that when no one could work.
Right.
So I mean, I would definitely not say it is a like luster generation in my mind, just because we do have had quite a number of games as well as roster that, and like next generation people will definitely be looking at it and being like, when are we getting that again?
Right. Right.
Well, I do also have a counterpoint to it being a disappointment of a generation, and that is like there have been plenty of games that have come out that are not they're dual generation because they refuse to give up on the previous generation.
Yes.
Like some of the other big hitters that have come out, the God of War Ragnarok. I forget. It was Last of Us 2. Was that last generation?
That was last.
It originally launched on the PS4.
Yeah, and it's like games like that they've been trying to get up, but it's been taking forever for them to actually do. This been like games refuse to stop like launching on previous generations.
Yeah. Now that's actually something I saw that was someone pointed out where it's like it's just crazy that we're still getting PS4 games at this point. For just as an example.
I mean it's one where we get it. You sold what, like 100 and something million PS4s. You haven't sold that many PS5s. You still want to get the money out of it. But you're holding the generation up.
Yeah.
It's like you can't make a game you can't make the game for the new generation if you're holding on to the old generation. It's like that's been a staple of like this current generation is everybody's still trying to make it for the old one because for some reason they can't let go of the fact that look how many we sold before. We need that money.
Right.
It's like most people. If most people, it's like people that are on PS5, we have PS4 still, but I'm not buying anything for PS4. It's like my PS4 hadn't been turned on in years.
Yeah.
On the other side of that, in terms of if we're looking at the generation as a whole and not just the big hitters, it's definitely been a nice little generation for indie developers and just rising up.
This has 100% been the generation of indie devs taking over.
Because a lot of the games that have been large, big hitters or taken over and whatnot have been just indie games that have just come out of nowhere. Like one that I think that's brought up a whole new genre of games is Content Warning. Mm-hmm. Just a dumb party game where you have a dumb camp recorder and you go out on the map just to find wild stuff the developers just left in there. And it spawned a whole new sort of genre of games. And then we got Baldur's Gate 3 during this, which we got just a lot. That was a whole thing of just Baldur's Gate 3 just being a game that people were like, this is a stable how games should be. And then the industry going, you shouldn't expect that just because this is a very specialized game.
Right, yeah.
And just its whole thing. So,
which is one where it's still wild that like before Baldur's Gate came out, we still had developers going like, "Hey, don't expect games to be like Baldur's Gate." It's like, what do you mean? Like polished?
Yeah,
completed?
No, exactly.
It's like done. It's like a complete game, and then it's like when bugs are found. Like even now, when a patch for Baldur's Gate comes out, it comes out with a list of like 300 line items of bug fixes of the most minuscule things.
Yeah.
And it's like why should the standard not be release a good polished game anymore? Mm-hmm. It's like stop trying to sell me a like a 10-hour game and charging me $70 for it.
Right.
It's like I can go spend like $40 and buy Helldivers 2 and get hundreds of hours out of that game.
And which, you speaking of Helldivers 2, also makes this generation, in terms at least from like the content and whatnot I see, almost seems the socialization of games has been slightly coming back, because a lot of the big game hitters are things that catch people's attention with streaming and whatnot, are sort of games that require a bit of socialization, like Helldivers 2. A lot of people, that community in itself is just sort of ridiculous.
Yeah.
And just how the developers help handle the order missions and whatnot, and just how the players, they go for it almost every time, except recently where they screwed up and got a planet destroyed. But hey,
Yeah, sometimes you gotta rebel.
and things like that, because I've definitely seen a lot more games that require like some socialization. Because like there's one game on Steam, I can't think of what the name is off the top of my head, but it's literally just a game where you create a lobby, you can invite people, and people just fish.
Oh yeah, I think it's called web fishing.
Yes, that's exactly it.
So let me ask you guys a question, because it's something that you said. It sparked the question in my brain. You said that you wouldn't call it the worst generation. I was curious, what do you guys' take is what would be the worst generation, not counting the super early ones? Because that's kind of, I pulled them up, and if I think there's an obvious one, I'd give it to Generation 4, which was literally just like the OG Game Boy, the Game Gear, the Atari Lynx, and what console called the Turbo Express. That's all 4th gen was. So like not counting the super early.
That's pretty rough.
That's kind of unfair to put it on them. Let's say we'll start with 5, which would be like PlayStation, N64, shit like that, and kind of moving forward. What would be the worst in you guys' opinion? I was just kind of curious.
8.
Wow.
Yes!
Okay. All right.
I was thinking very similar, if I'm being honest.
Oh,
If we're
8th
talking
generation.
like modern day generations, 8, because 8 almost killed Microsoft.
Yep.
And it's like it pushed everybody to the large population of gamers to PS4, but we went to PS4 just because like they had more games coming out, not because it was necessarily a fantastic generation.
And
It's like a lot of good games came out, but it's not like you look at Generation 8 as the year that Sony came back with the PS4 because Xbox nearly killed itself.
And yeah, and I was also thinking that because they also other aspect is that it's like some people didn't even really want to do the PS4 originally just because of PS3 and the experience that was the PS3.
Yeah,
It's
right.
like you can't say 7 because it's a 360 generation, which is
And Wii.
like it's like a 360 Wii generation, which is arguably the best.
Yeah.
And it's
The
like
only-
before that you have like PS2 and
Xbox.
Xbox, which is like
GameCube,
which is like nobody's ever gonna say that like that's also
In
an
our
argument for
generation,
best.
yeah.
I mean, the only dark horse of Generation 7 was the PS3, but the Wii and Xbox 360 luckily were enough
Yeah,
to...
it carries it.
Yes.
See, just saying Generation 8 is interesting because not only did it have a console that almost killed Xbox, it also had the console that almost killed Nintendo. Because Wii U is considered Generation 8, but Nintendo Switch is considered Generation 8, but that one's kind of a cross.
Yeah.
So that's why it kind of gets out a little bit, you know? But I think Generation 8 is probably a fair answer. Because, yeah, you got the Switch, right? Cool. You got the PS4. Cool. But you have the Wii U and the Xbox, which almost killed both brands, respectively.
Well, yeah.
Like,
I mean,
it's kind of crazy to think
And the
about.
thing with that, the Xbox One, the whole thing, like, they trashed like several of the big things they originally had for the consoles and whatnot. Like the whole voice command and Connect was going to be a whole thing.
That and just the online stuff, because
Yep.
So that actually popped up as a short for me recently, where it was the head at the time, where it's just like, well, the single line that almost killed Xbox and killed the console, where it's just like, well, if you don't want to be online all the time, we do have an alternative solution. It's called the Xbox 360. And I'm like, oh my god, I forgot he said that. It's like that line almost killed Xbox up front.
Yeah. I mean, the Generation 8 had some stuff going for it.
Yeah.
I mean, it is kind of the intro, like, especially like towards the end of the life cycle of it. I mean, we had God of War, we had like Red Dead Redemption,
Yeah, Spider-Man.
like 2, Spider-Man, like Last of Us. We had all of that stuff coming out towards like the ending cycle of that, which is
Ghost of Tsushima.
yeah, it's like that's the stuff that people would look at and be like, what do you mean that's a great generation? It's like, okay, what on Xbox side of it? What did Nintendo do during that
I
time?
was about to say, Generation X had a nice little bow tie at the end to make it look very nice.
Yes.
If you really looked through that generation from beginning to end, that beginning to middle part, you're sort of like,
Yeah.
even with the PS4 carrying
yeah, because
PS4 also was a bit choppy releases up until that end.
yeah,
Right.
it was like a lot of us switched over to PS4. Not necessarily because the PS4 was fantastic. It was just because the Xbox was extremely lackluster.
Yeah, yeah.
So it's like, if I'm going to buy stuff, why not buy it for the one that's actually getting some games come out for it?
Right. No, I think 8 is probably the correct answer. It's really interesting when you look at all the modern day generations. I think there's a very firm argument that you could say 8 or 9 is the worst. I think it's a firm argument for both, but I think I'm gonna side with 8 because again, you had the two consoles that almost killed two brands.
Yeah,
it's
I
kind
don't-
of hard to fight against that.
It's one where I mean, I don't. It's one where, like, if you were to try to say 9 is one of the worst, it's hard in my mind to do that because it's impossible for me to distinguish like the Generation 9 from like current gaming, because in current gaming, we've talked about this before. Modern gaming is in one of the best states that it's ever been for anybody to play games.
Oh yes,
And it's hard to distinguish that and say Gen 9 doesn't in some way contribute to that. Because yeah, it may not, it's like you may not have like the best releases. It may have taken a long time for the generation to get there. They may have held on to the previous generation for too long. But at the end of the day, more people are playing games than ever.
yeah, and just this Generation 9 in just terms of releases, I thought like it just very much diversified. I mean, we had VR has come a long way.
Yep.
Mobile games have had a resurgence exceptionally well
Yep.
during this generation. Of course, we got our PS5, which is the creme de la creme of just, hey, we don't have enough things to push this any harder. And Xbox, I mean, they've been having it rough, but I mean, their console itself is a fantastic piece of hardware.
Yeah, it's a great piece of hardware.
I mean, their console itself, like, if the Series S wasn't there,
I think.
if the Series S wasn't there, Xbox was set up for a home run
Yeah.
with the power of the Series X and like what was capable on it. The problem is they didn't get any games because they had to develop it for both systems and people just couldn't do it.
Yep.
As John said many times, the S was a fantastic consumer move. Was not a fantastic developer move.
No, it was not.
Because
Yeah.
because that's one of the things that's put Xbox behind so much is just all the developers having to make the game for X, which they could do with no issue because it was fairly similar
powerful,
build
you know.
to the PS5, and then they look to the X and go, "We got to do a whole other team for this."
Yeah, it's like we got to hire an entirely different team for this bad boy. What are we doing?
Yeah.
They're dealing with the same problems as people still making games on the Switch.
Yeah, for real. And like I said earlier, we're gonna have that same problem with the Switch 2 here in like 4 years.
I've got it predicted for it to happen immediately.
Oh no!
Remember, that's one of my yearly predictions.
I know. God, I hope not.
But yeah, no, like I said, it's hard to distinguish and try to say that Generation 9 is disappointing because it's like gaming is in such a great state. It's like consoles are a large part of that, and it's like we have games come out that are breaking records, and it's like we have games blowing up beyond anything we could have thought happened a couple years ago. It's partially due to because of this generation.
And hell, we've even had handheld gaming come back.
Yeah, true. Handheld gaming has had a massive resurgence.
I mean, hell, just look. It's like look back to like last year, college football came out. It's like that game came out, and it's like that sold consoles.
Yep.
It's like that's not a game
Crazy.
you would think would sell consoles, but that game
Damn,
came out,
hell, it
and
did.
sold consoles, and then the people that have I personally know people that bought consoles because of that game who are now playing a bunch of other games. It's like they hadn't played games in years.
Yeah.
They bought it for college football, and now because they have access to it,
Yeah, they're like, well, I got this thing.
it's like they have access to it, so now they're playing. They're like, this is a whole new world that's opened up. They're like, when I used to play games, it wasn't anything like this.
Right.
And it's like, part of that is due to like the nature of like some live service games that are successful in that. But it's also a large part due to like the console marketplace and people keeping those games alive because there's something to play.
Yeah.
Which is you don't have that without this generation.
True.
Like you wouldn't be playing a bunch of these live service games like back during the last generation.
Right. Yeah. No, and that's the fair defense for the 9th gen. 9th gen can just get that quick like knee-jerk reaction because of the Series S and just how bad the Xbox sales are. Xbox going publisher mode basically, and all the cancellations. But there's so many
insane
other
amount of delays we had at the beginning of the generation.
but there's so many other positives to happen for it. But I will say this, and I've said it before, and I'm gonna continue to stay in my boat, even though I know it's not gonna happen. I'm still under a very firm belief that like I think it'd be great for the generation, just extend the generation. I don't think it needs to be a standard 7-year cycle.
I mean, we've all been in
Yeah.
agreement.
Yeah. I just know there's people. It's just like, nah, go ahead and just do the 7-year or whatever. I'm just like, no. I think it should be extended. There's nothing that's pushing these consoles to the
That's the
limit.
thing. The only reason we were close to 7 years before was because in that time frame they learned how to extract every piece of hardware that the console had for them.
Yeah.
We haven't been able to push anything yet.
Yep. So,
But yeah, I will say, like, as much as I'm defending Generation 9, it probably is in, like,
it's in the bottom half.
It is 8 and 9 that are probably towards the bottom of it. But that's because you look back at, like, the 360 generation, the PS2 generation. It's like, those are so like lauded for like the golden era of gaming.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Because
just
it's
everything that was coming out and whatnot. Yeah.
Because it's like we're in like 2025, and it's like, what are a lot of the big releases that are coming out? They're remakes of that time.
Facts, and it's not going to stop anytime soon.
It's like we're remaking games from the PS2, the GameCube, like
Xbox.
It's like we're remaking those games because it's like people haven't experienced them. They've heard about them, but they don't want to go back and play it on the old hardware.
Right.
So remake it, play it. It's like sell a million copies. Do it again.
Yep.
Everyone's just taking the Nintendo strategy.
Hey, it prints dollars. It prints dollars. No doubt about that. So, all right, let me shout out another sponsor, and then we can chat about some Tribe 9's full release, and then jump in the weekly wrap up, which will feature stuff with like the NetEase layoffs as well as some other things going on. So let's shout out some Rogue Energy. Use the referral link down below. Promo code Sparky30 to get 10% off your order, whether you pick up the hydration, chill, or the energy line. It's all fantastic. We recommend all of it. If they have a better sale going on, no big deal. Just use the referral link down below. You're still going to support the brand. But hey, if you want to use promo code Sparky30 to get that 10% off, we'd appreciate that extra support.
I've been using the chill in the evenings lately.
It's nice, isn't it?
It's a nice.
It actually works. I don't know if it's like just a mental thing or so. Yeah, I think this is working. No, I feel like it actually works.
Well, I bought it and I kind of been holding off on it because I've been fixing my sleep.
Yeah.
Like just naturally, and I've got myself established in a new sleep pattern. So I've started drinking it in the evenings to see if it has an effect, or like if it helps me at all. Not long enough to really give a good determination on that, but it is nice to drink in the evenings.
I mean, now would be a good time to pick some up because if you order on the mobile app, the 2.0 formula of energies are currently $10 off.
There you go. Check that out. All right, Zach. How's Tribe 9 with its full release that happened and everything? How's that been treating you?
Honestly, it came out really polished.
Oh, well. Here we go. We love to hear it.
I will say, every time you talked about this game previously, I forget about it. I saw you playing it earlier. I was like, let me look at the Steam page. You just look through the screenshots of that game on Steam. It's like 7 different games.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous.
Man, hey, they're letting you know what you're getting into.
No, they're
wild
not.
ride.
No, because I still don't. I don't have an idea.
Their
I have
announced-
Zach's
The
description.
idea is you're getting into a wild
Their
ride.
announced trailer of announced release trailer is literally just a bunch of shots of the characters fighting, ending with the main character staring and everyone being dead on the ground. It's
You're
like
in for a wild ride.
It's like a 3-minute trailer. It's just a bunch of diorama shots of all the characters fighting bosses and enemies, and at the end it's just the main character, everyone dead on the ground. Like, what are you supposed to expect from this?
right.
But so yeah, Tribe 9 full 1.0 release on the 20th, alongside both Avowed and Yakuza Pirates in Hawaii.
Nice.
I've been watching some of that Yakuza Pirates.
Majima's ridiculous right now.
It's fun.
Majima's on top. That's a whole other thing.
Yeah.
But as I mentioned, I did watch the pre-release show they did over in Japan like a week or two ago, and more or less them talking about bunch of different gameplay changes and whatnot from the open beta we had back in November, I want to say. It was either October or November. I can't remember now. But overall, the initial game of the Chapter 0 prologue, it is very much polished. And one of the biggest complaints for a lot of people was just it felt very long. They polished it up really nicely. Got a lot more synced of teaching you how to play, getting you through the prologue, and getting you to the first city so you can start doing stuff. One of the other big things that people were always confused about was they actually introduced the gacha system a lot earlier in the game. So it just gets that out of the way and people can start collecting characters if that's what they're there for. The combat has been simplified. I would not necessarily say dumbed down because it still has it still has a very good flow now, because one of my biggest complaints was just it felt slightly clunky. The combat just felt way too long, and it honestly was not really fun at all. They simplified it and making it. They still have all their systems in there, but the systems all work together a lot better.
Right.
So, I mean, as I mentioned, it's when they talked about it, it's just primary attack, secondary. Each character has a signature sort of attack, and then their ultimate.
Mm-hmm.
And then the whole chaining system is a lot easier versus the weird status trigger effects they had, which more or less pigeonholed people into specific teams. But now there's a lot more ability for team building, so you can mix and match characters a lot more, which has been a lot more fun. I enjoy the teams I'm able to build now versus the betas. Overall, it just flows a lot better. The tutorial XP game doesn't take nearly as long either, it feels like, and slightly explains better what the hell XP is and its weirdness. The thing I do want to note about the XP tutorial, it did actually show off how the character's XP skills actually affect the game, because in the beta ones, it didn't really show it off. It was more or less just a drama unfolding in front of you. But actually seeing how the skills actually work in the tutorial was actually sort of nice, based on the tension build up, how your dialogue choice affects it, yada yada yada. Yeah, overall just a lot, very polished. A lot of things that was complaints for during the betas were fixed up and whatnot. I don't know if it's just me. The enemies do feel easier, but I know one of the complaints for some people was that it was sort of hard, because I still love the purple blood marks everywhere. That's far less than what I remember seeing in the beta. So not as many people are getting their shit tossed. Because in the beta, there was just wherever you
Everywhere.
walked, there was just
Yep.
bodies.
Yep.
But even now, there's still some that I'm just like, why'd you die here? And it's even worse because you can see what they were doing, and I'm just like, why are you running 3 supports? You need a damaged character in there. What are you doing?
Nah, man.
Let them live.
Play it your way.
Yeah, let them live.
I mean, they obviously aren't. They left a big blood stain on the ground.
You know what? Fair. Wrong choice of words for me.
They very much die.
Yeah, wrong choice of words for me.
Right, that's just a trial by fire right there.
I mean, it
Exactly.
really is.
They know how to do it with that team next time.
Yeah, there you go.
Oh no, there's in the game is self-aware, which is very entertaining because they, for the overall flow and the tutorial being quicker and whatnot, they did actually move some scenes and whatnot because the beta tutorial was very much just a tag along with your group of the trash tribe of just the game showing them off and just like these is your main cast of characters. But they did actually very well in making streamlining the prologue of just they cut a lot of that content out of the tutorial and just let you run the tutorial, taught you the game, let you get through it, and now they're letting the characters shine more in their individual chapters of which they're taking part of. And so you're not just overloaded with all the characters' personalities at once and just like, okay, let me just get through this so I can get to the main game. But yeah, no, overall, nice little release. There is some other changes in just with some of the puzzles and whatnot they had in the game. The ones that worked stayed. They changed a few, which were just sort of tedious ones. The overall map overview, they actually decreased the amount of enemies that roam the map, but increased their spawn rates, the ones that are there. So there is less enemies to hit you and initially just wipe you, but the spawn rates counteracted where they respawn quick enough it doesn't just like feel empty once you clear a map, which is a nice compromise I think they found. Because that was one thing while I was walking around the first city, I'm just like, I remember getting just charged a lot, and I'm just like, there's not nearly as many people just face rushing me now.
Right. Nice. Shout out to Tribe 9, man. I'm glad that, all these years later from when the project started with the anime, I'm glad that like the full game is out there. There was also, you said a webcomic, I think.
Webtoon, yep.
Yeah. I'm glad that we've finally reached this point. Yeah, because I remember when the project started and me and you watched the anime on AniMan Plus, shout out. And like at the time, it's like,
the trailer.
Yeah, there's going to be a game come out and everything. And so I'm glad that we finally got to
Yeah,
this
because it was
point.
initially
Shout out.
supposed to just be a mobile game, which we thought was just going to be Danganronpa baseball. Not what we got.
No. Hey, shout out, man. They were ambitious and they went over the top.
I mean, yeah. I mean, they've succeeded in doing what they did. The anime, manga, webtoon, and now the game.
Yeah. So shout out, man. I'm glad to see that the success that it's had. That's pretty cool, especially with how long we've been following that project. So that's pretty cool.
I did want to take it back to Avowed real quick because one thing he just mentioned reminded me of something I was gonna bring up. It was him mentioning respawning enemies.
Yeah.
Avowed does not have that.
Oh, so once they're gone, they're gone?
Once you kill if you kill all of the enemies in an area, that area is empty.
So like when you leave the area and come back, they're still gone.
There's a finite number of enemies on each map.
No shit. Oh, okay, yeah.
Interesting.
I can definitely see no post game content then.
So
I can
like,
see that.
It like I said, how I enter a zone is I run around and I kind of unlock all the fast travel and everything and explore as much as I can. Well, then when I get quests to go back to those areas, I don't have any enemies to fight. I'm just going through.
That sounds like a decision.
It's odd.
I very much
sounds like a
that
decision.
would feel very.
It makes it when you're like when I'm going around and doing some exploring to see if I forgot anything.
Yeah.
I'm basically just looking at the mini map, seeing if there's any red dots that show up. Because if there's no enemies, I've cleared everything.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was just gonna mention that because it's something that it's like it kind of makes sense that it's like, okay, well if I've killed everything here, there's nothing left.
Right.
I don't
It's
know.
also weird.
I mean, yeah, that sounds
Especially it's also like
off-putting almost.
slightly jarring. Yeah.
Jarring.
Just based on how games have sort of trained our brains to expect enemies to respawn, just taking out is definitely a choice and not necessarily a bad one. It's an interesting one, honestly.
right.
yeah, it's just a weird feeling like when you go back through an area, you're like, I feel like there should be an enemy around here, but meanwhile, but it's like no.
Do you feel guilty with the devastation you've brought upon this land, salting the earth with their body and blood?
No.
Okay.
No, he says.
You know how many families I've had to talk to that tell me they have people who are sick and they had to abandon their house because of it, and I come back to them later and I go, "You are clear to go back to your house. You might want to clean up."
You might want to clean up. Oh my God, John.
Yes!
10 out of 10.
I have cleared you of your infestation. Rejoice and be merry.
But you might want to bring some towels.
You might
want
want
to bring a bucket.
You might want to stop by the well on your way home.
There are some funny moments where it's like you can clear a quest, like you can kill and clear enemies before people ask you to. Because I've had moments where like I go back to somebody and they're like, we're like I'll have talked to them. They didn't give me a quest, but it's because they're supposed to give me that part of it later when I come to them to talk to them during a quest. Or I'll come talk to them and they're like, I'm willing to help you, but you got to do something for me. There's this guy back here, like he's in this building back here, and the dialogue option is, "Oh, I already took care of that guy. Don't worry about it."
Oh, I love when games allow you to complete quests beforehand and just give you the options like, "Oh yeah, no, I got a souvenir. You want to see?"
Yeah, right.
Well, it's funny because in Avowed there's a bounty system. It's basically just a way to take you to fight stronger enemies.
Yeah.
And you have to bring a trophy bag. And it's like, there'll be times where I'll clear a map and like I'll kill all the bounties without realizing it. And I'll show up to the bounty guy and I'll just start talking to him. And he's like, "Oh, I'm here to tell you about the bounties." And I'm like, "Oh, funny you mentioned that. Did you want me to kill this guy?" "Oh,
Why,
okay,
yes.
yeah, here's your reward. What about this one?"
This one? Oh, yeah,
And
wow.
and then it's like, you go through it all. He goes, "Oh, you clear them all.
Oh, well, good.
I guess I'll talk to you if I come up with any more."
Oh, that's great. That's great. That's actually interesting because it reminds me of something that we've got in the weekly wrap up with one of the games that we've got. So it's interesting when a game just lets you kind of do that, you know. Before we get to the weekly wrap up, you guys got anything you want to shout out? Anything you want to chat about? I've got something I want to shout out. It's not gaming related, but I want to shout it out before we get on to weekly wrap up.
We are 6 days away, boy.
I know, Monster Hunter.
6 days
For
away
Wilds?
from Monster Hunter Wilds.
Yeah, I stopped by yesterday to put a pre-order in because they have a Steelbook edition that Christina wanted, so I got that pre-order in for it. Yeah. It's only like literally, it's only $5 more, so why the hell not? You know, base game $70, this thing's $75. Shit, yeah, let me get the Steelbook. Let's go.
Yeah, so yeah, I'm very excited for that.
Yeah, and then not that far away, also from Split Fiction, because that was something else I put a pre-order in for. We are 12 days from Split Fiction, so also shout out to that. Monster Hunter right around the corner, as well as Split Fiction. So good time for some games to come out. Pretty excited. No, I did want to shout out something very random that I'm just excited for. I just want to shout it out. It's not, you guys won't give a shit, but just humor me for one moment. So I'm going to have some new stuff here in my background. I recently got some new jerseys. But the thing that's exciting about it is, so Tyler, shout out to Tyler at the ATFS, he sent me a couple links for some old Hawaii football jerseys on goodwillfinds.com. Great website, by the way. Love that site. And it's like, you know, pre-NIL area, so obviously no last names. You know, it's kind of like how back in the day, it's like you could find like DMAC jerseys where it has no name on it kind of thing. It's like, oh, yeah, that's cool, whatever. And I was kind of looking for something else. Dude, on Goodwill Finds, found an autographed Brandon Marshall jersey, who is one of my favorite receivers to ever play for the Bears. So I picked that bad boy up, and I'm very excited to hang it behind me.
I'm glad there's people that send you links to make you buy stuff.
Yes, like I do you. I do it to you all the time. I know. So
I'm just get a message from him every now and then, and it's just a link to like a
No
controller
context,
or
yeah.
something coming out, and I'm just like, why do you do this to me?
See, he does that to me too, and I go, "Oh, that's pretty."
yeah. Swipe or whatever. Yeah. No, once I found that, I was pretty excited. I went ahead and picked up the 2 Hawaii ones because they were like $15 a pop.
No,
Like,
honestly,
whatever.
most of the times now when you do that, you send me a link, and it'll be a day or two later. I go, click. Oh, it's sold out.
Yeah, unfortunate. Yeah, don't jump on it then too. Something else that I got that Tyler sent over my way is that he has a seller that does like prints of like they're basically NFL jerseys, but they're not NFL jerseys. So, they don't have any of the logos, whatever, but it's the jersey pattern minus a couple things. The dude was having a sale where you could get the jerseys for like $10. So I got the remaining 2 teams that my favorite player played for. Hester, which is the Ravens and the Seahawks. So I'm going to have that hanging behind me too.
The unsanctioned ones?
Yeah, the unsanctioned jerseys, correct, yes. If I wanted to, I could probably find a legitimate Hester Ravens jersey because he played at least half a season. It probably was out there. He played 1 game for the Seahawks, so that probably doesn't exist. So anyway, it's just cool to have. I want to shout that out. I'm really excited for the Brandon Marshall jersey that's autographed. So that's just a personal shout out. I'm just really excited for it to come in. But anyway, let's go through the weekly wrap up. First thing is involving these NetEase layoffs because it affected a few different divisions, a few different teams and stuff. Because one of them was actually a Marvel Rivals development team that was based in Seattle. They handled like some level design and some different support stuff, and it was basically to kind of adjust the structure of organization for organizational reasons and development efficiency. If you want me to be very straight up, the vibe that I got just kind of reading the why is. Maybe it's like a time zone thing where it's like, hey, I'm trying to get some stuff. I'm trying to get some info or trying to...
That sort of sucks, but that's understandable.
Yeah, that was the vibe I got because they really hammered developmental. Everything's going to be a lot more efficient and flow better.
Yeah.
I was like, I wonder if it's a time zone thing. I wonder if that was why that one got laid off.
More than likely.
So that was my first thought. But then also on the counterpoint, like they started like cutting back on projects for like different Japanese studios. One of them actually being the OG Yakuza creator. His studio is owned by NetEase. And like they basically said, whatever you guys are working on, finish it. Here's your time for it. Here's your money. After that, you're done. We're not funding anything else. Basically, it was I was like, that's interesting, I guess. So and on top of that, with Marvel Rivals, apparently the game almost got canceled right before it released. Imagine that you have the release date kind of set, everything's kind of good to go, and the CEO was legitimately about to take out a bunch of heroes that he didn't want in the game. Like there was a bunch of heroes.
I remember hearing about that.
Yeah, there was a bunch that he said, I don't know about this. And then he flat out said, yeah, almost canceled the game right before it came out because I just didn't want to pay Disney. I didn't want to pay Disney for the license. And I'm like, God, how much is the license? And I wonder.
See, I never heard the whole him about to cancel it.
Yeah,
but
that was part of this report.
I remember hearing a rumor or something about a bunch of the owner trying to remove a bunch of characters right before release.
Yeah. No, yeah. It's kind of crazy.
It wouldn't have surprised me. I would have just been like, it's fucking Fable Legends all over again.
Oh, no, don't say that.
I'd like to visit that timeline.
Visit that timeline of where
I'm not a Marvel's Rivals player, so it doesn't affect me.
Don't say that. I am.
Yeah, I know. Go play the games that came out.
I'm sorry, I can't help it.
Everyone would still be playing and suffering through Overwatch 2.
Yo, facts.
Funny thing about that. I saw a short about it earlier. If you like Overwatch 2 on Steam,
yeah, I saw this
is rising.
Oh yeah, no,
from overwhelmingly negative. It's at mixed right now.
It's making its way up.
It's because
they have competition.
Well, it's not that because you won't see the Marvel's Rivals effect to it for like another year.
Yeah,
right.
It's like this is just stuff that they were working on to try to fix some of the stuff.
Yeah,
and then now that some of that's there, so now it's like the people that aren't playing Marvel's Rivals are like, I guess we'll check out Overwatch, and they're like, it's not as bad as everybody was saying.
Right.
So we're starting to see the influx of like Overwatch coming up some. So then now we're gonna have both of those people, both of those communities being angry in their own games.
Yeah, 100%.
And then sometimes at each other.
Yeah, true.
How long do you think his Marvel's Rivals phase is gonna last? Because I look at this like this is like me when a new like free to play.
It's exactly like that.
When a new free to play like MMO light type looter shooter comes out. That's what I look like, isn't it?
Yes, actually, you have no idea. Like Listen, John. Listen, all right. As this whole week went by, I can't tell you how guilty I felt that Avowed came out and I was not playing because I could not get off Marvel Rivals. And I sat there for about like 20 minutes and then I'm like, is this what John is like when these free-to-play games come out where he just gets hooked on one? I thought about that multiple times this week. I felt so guilty just playing this.
I give him till May.
Hey, he's gonna last longer than I do.
Like, look, I've said on the show before, I love hero shooters, man. I love Overwatch. I just hate what Overwatch 2 became. So I'm having a great time. It's just, I'm having a great time.
Marvel Rivals, it's your Lost Ark.
It is. I'm in my Lost Ark era with Marvel Rivals. Because also with that, like, I am definitely not good. I feel like a massive phony, and I've been working on that all day today. I've gotten to the highest rank I've ever gotten in a game like this. Because like with Overwatch, I think the highest I got was like Plat 1, I think was the highest I ever gotten ranked. So I actually hit Diamond 1 earlier. So I was really proud of that. I was like, let's go. I'm a Diamond player. I got to the point where I can be part of the ban phase. Because when it first popped up, it caught me off guard. Because like Diamond 3 didn't really have, like my first couple Diamond 3 games, there was nothing. And it's like got to Diamond 2, it's just like, I go click on Rocket and it's just like, won't let me lock in. I'm like, what the fuck's happening? And it's like pops up banning. I'm like, oh shit, I'm in the banning phases now. Let's go.
His account hit level 30.
Bruh, I'm getting there. I know, right? Dude, I'm having a great time.
All right, John. That's a throwback.
That is a throwback. That's League, right?
Yeah,
that's League.
That's for anybody that has played League and forgot what it's like to hit level 30 on account and finally be able to play ranked.
Yep.
No, I mean, I'm definitely not good. I'm okay. I'm a good Rocket, but Rocket's not hard to play.
I mean, you're in like the top 15%.
Yeah, I mean, I am, but I'm a massive phony. I'm a massive phony. Just because it's like I'm a one trick. I'm a Rocket one trick, and Rocket's not hard to play. So like all day today, all I've been doing is just playing a bunch of random characters, like mostly just tanks and support still. I feel like I'm forming a very nasty Doctor Strange, so I'm pretty pumped up about that because Doctor Strange is pretty good, even though he got nerfed. I mean,
he's still a top tier tank.
Yeah, he is. Yeah.
Just because he's got the biggest shield.
Yeah, he does. Even though he did get a slight health nerf, but he's still fine. I don't really feel any difference or anything.
Player discovers one of the best characters in the game, but dude, I got a nasty Doctor Strange.
Oh, I know, right? Yeah. I'm getting better with the Hulk. Thing is a lot of fun. Enjoy the Thing quite a bit. Getting better with Groot. And I'm starting getting better with a few different supports like Adam Warlock and Luna. Tried Invisible Woman today for the first time. Don't know if she's my play style, but I'm gonna keep trying. But
she's top tier.
I know she is very top tier. So I'm working on her right now. But I'm branching out more. So shout out. I'm
surprised by the Adam Warlock because he's not top tier.
I was having fun with him.
I mean, he's a good character, but he's definitely not top tier.
Yeah. You say that, but I see him a lot in diamond lobbies.
Do you really?
Yeah. You know what caught me off guard with the diamond lobbies for the ban phase is like the unanimous ban. I have not gotten through a single ban phase at all where this person has not been banned, and it's Wolverine.
Yep.
And I'm like, I never see Wolverine. I was like, is Wolverine just strictly like a very high skill, like it's the only people that play him?
Because a Wolverine, if they're very good, they can literally jump into your backline, murder your backline, and just completely assemble your team because he can just go up, snag.
Yeah, because like going all the way from bronze to like platinum, I saw a few Wolverines and they were usually very okay at best.
I guess, no, Adam Warlock is pretty good. I guess a lot more people are playing him now because I know he wasn't top tier for a while.
Yeah, so it's just like every time Wolverine gets banned immediately, and I'm like, okay, I didn't know that. But then I see others get banned that I'm not surprised about. Like I see Namor always getting banned, Storm getting banned a lot. So like, oh, okay, that doesn't surprise me. Those are not
Johnny
shocking.
Storm will probably join that ban pool at some point.
Yeah, at some point. Yeah, he's already kind of annoying, but kind of fun. He's also fun to play. Cloak and Dagger gets banned a lot.
Oh, what? You want to huddle up?
Yeah.
Fire tornado. Fire tornado.
Yeah, fire tornado. Yep.
Big giant flame square.
Right. Exactly. So either way, I've just been having fun. All right. I'm you right now, but I'll get out of it eventually. Anyway,
it's fun to see that from the outside.
All right, next thing we've got is the God of War 20th anniversary celebration was announced for next month, and there is a little rumor and report that Jeff Grubb did say that the God of War trilogy remasters has been rumored for so long will be announced during that period.
It's already out on PS3.
The new one. The remaster.
Yeah, I mean, We'll see. I mean, I'll be excited for anything God of War
Right.
to like be more accessible. Because as I've said before, that is my like in like 2024 now 2025. That's my biggest thing is accessibility for a lot of these games.
Right. Just make stuff more accessible kind of
It's
thing.
like, yeah, it's like make more games accessible. But previously, I was like talking about a lot of like JRPGs that are stuck on original consoles that came out. But yeah, I mean, just anything. Bring them forward. Let them be playable on current consoles. Let them current like technology.
Right. And hopefully that is going to be the case because that would be a pretty sweet release to happen this year. Is a
There
nice.
will be a lot of confused people that have only played the new God of War games that are like, oh, God of War. They go to play. Go, the fuck's happening?
He's so angry, more than before. Anyway, next thing we got is the Pokemon Presents is set for Thursday the 27th at 8 a.m. Central Standard Time.
What are
So
we getting with that?
yeah, it's gonna be the trademark thing of where it's gonna be like probably a 15, 20-minute thing, and like
We're gonna get
17 minutes gonna be bullshit mobile app stuff, and then you're gonna get the 3 minutes you care about.
yeah, we're gonna get Pokemon Sleep, Pokemon
Cafe.
Home, Pokemon Cafe. We're gonna get probably Pokemon Unite because they love to talk about Unite.
God, I
For
haven't
like
played
2
that
minutes.
forever.
What do you think it's gonna be? Is this gonna be? I mean, we're gonna get
ZA.
some ZA. Do you
Yeah.
think we're gonna get anything else?
It's gonna announce a new animation short set.
Probably, yeah, probably. No, see, obviously this is ZA's year, right? This is going to be the year of ZA and stuff. But it brings the question: do you go ahead and just drop it in, like, hey, Generation 10, here it is, it's coming out 2026? Do you go ahead and drop that now, or do you just wait till next Pokemon Day?
I think you would drop it the year before.
So go ahead and drop it now and say, hey, Generation
Because-
10 next year. Here's the titles. That's all you're getting. See ya.
Because what you could, I mean, that's kind of what they did for 9. Because 9,
Yeah.
Actually, yeah, you're right.
9 was just like a short little.
Actually, you're right.
Yeah, that's exactly what
it
they
was
did.
right after the Legends Arceus presentation.
So it's like we might get a big showcase with ZA and then a 20-second thing where we just see an outlook. Because that's what they did for.
Yeah, Scarlet and Violet.
It
Yeah,
was
you're
just
right.
like a little. We got to see that like the board that just had the pictures of the starters.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. So yeah, that's actually fair. Will we see Generation 10 titles this Thursday? Now the only thing is, it needs to just come out next year. Let this year be the year of ZA.
it's like-
'Cause let me confirm. Let's see, Pokemon Red and Blue. Because I think next year is a major year for Pokemon.
Because
It is, yeah. Pokemon came out in '96, so yeah.
'cause you could do. It's like because that was the biggest thing when like Legends got announced was we saw it, and then we saw like 2025, and we were like, wait a second, they're not just rushing it.
Yeah.
So it's like they could announce it and just be like 2026.
Yeah, which is the 30th anniversary. So
And then we could, and then next year,
Big
come around
hype.
Pokemon Day, we can get something showing it off.
Yeah, yeah. And honestly, something else to think about for next year that's going to be kind of crazy for Nintendo, because I saw this earlier, is that so next year is going to be the 30th anniversary of Pokemon, which obviously we can safely assume is Generation 10. Generation 10 is going to be an all-out generation. Next year is also the 40th anniversary of Zelda. So like next year's just going to be a year to watch for Nintendo, because I'm still in the boat of this. The new game for Zelda for the 40th is actually just going to be the big, humongous, high-budget remake of Ocarina of Time. I'm still hammering that shit. I feel it coming.
Yeah,
It's the live action
2D
film.
Zelda.
2D Zelda, relax. But no, now that I've remembered, you've pointed out about the Scarlet and Violet thing. Yeah, I think it's possible we can get Gen 10 this Thursday, which is pretty cool. I mean, obviously you're going to get the titles. You're not
Yeah.
going to get anything else.
You
but-
might not even get a title. You'll just see a screw. You'll see like a short animation
Yeah,
where you see like 1 or 2 new Pokemon.
yeah.
I was about to say, yeah, because the initial announcement, we didn't even get a title. It was literally just the starter silhouettes.
It was like a live action thing of a dude
Yeah.
like going like a security guard going into a room and shit
Yep.
like that. Yeah, something like that.
Maybe we get something like that.
Yeah, I could see that. I will also say this for Pokemon. I was just a few days old, a couple days ago, finding out that apparently Ash reunited with a lot of old Pokemon at the end of his last show.
Final Journey.
Yeah, did not know that he reunited with. That somehow missed my timeline.
How?
Completely. I don't know.
That's all my timeline was when Final Journey released over in the East.
Yeah, no,
I didn't see any of it.
Yeah,
I mean, I haven't
clue.
watched any of it, but yeah.
So, Pidgeot,
Yep.
there was a full scene of him reuniting with Pidgeot, so that's awesome.
Yep.
There's a full scene of him reuniting with Lapras.
Yep.
That's awesome. There's a whole thing of him reuniting with Greninja, where his Greninja and Lucario fight. And then the most like, I was just like, holy shit, they did it. It was only a post-credit scene. There's no talking. He reunites with Butterfree.
Yep.
And I was like, I did not know any of this happened. Like,
Yeah.
what?
He literally goes around and reunites with all his Pokemon.
Well, what about Primate? Because I didn't look that one up. Probably not.
I think there is in one moment.
Okay. That'd probably be another post-credit one. if that did happen, that probably wouldn't get anything substantial. I'm just glad to see the two OGs of Butterfree and Pidgeot he reunites. I was pumped about that.
Yeah, the whole ending of the Champions Tournament and then his Final Journey was literally them acknowledging all his Pokemon he's left behind.
See, that missed my timeline completely. As once he became champion, everything Pokemon, for whatever reason, like the show, went out of my timeline. I never saw any of it until just the other day.
Wow.
I know, crazy. Anyway, all right, so 3 straight games in a row. I've got information about games that, in some shape or form, we are excited for. The first being Blood of the Dawnwalker. Apparently, it's aiming to be the quality level of Witcher 3. That's quite the milestone there. Main story will take 30 to 40 hours, which that's good. And John, this one's for you because you were talking about this earlier. I snagged this because I thought this was interesting. You can kill a lot of NPCs in the game. Sometimes very important ones that can impact you with alternative outcomes or even cut off some certain quest lines.
I love that. Because my favorite thing in games these days is like I like having the option when you're dealing with that like NPC that's just being a dick,
Right.
like being an asshole. My reaction, it's like I'll be like, okay, all right, what's with the attitude? And it's like if he keeps doing it, I'm like, can I kill you? And it's like I love when they give me the option to actually give me the opportunity to do it.
Yeah. So like an example that they gave in terms of like you may kill a lot of NPCs is that, you are, a Dawnwalker, you're gonna want some blood essentially. So like when it comes nighttime, you might act up a little bit and you might kill some NPCs that are important to the story. So I was like, I love that the option is there for that to happen because that could create a lot of chaos and a lot of different outcomes for the game. So shout out to that. Shout out to Blood of the Dawnwalker.
Which I will say, there's one character in Avowed that I wish they let me kill.
You can't kill him?
They didn't let me.
Damn it.
Like there was the first conversation I had with him ended with the dialogue option that I had to, like in the conversation was, well, fuck you too then. And then I pulled my gun out and I tried to shoot him and it wouldn't let me.
Damn it. Unfortunate. Well, if it was Blood of the Dawnwalker,
they'd be gone.
Oh, yeah, they would be gone, brother. Next up is involving Lost Soul Aside. So this is overall just kind of like, honestly, kind of some nice, like, heartwarming information to an extent. So the game originally started off as an indie/AA project, but with help from that PlayStation China Hero project, it pushed the scope to make it AAA. It also began as a one-person project, so big shout out to that. The 10-year development is due to the team struggling because of the lack of full game development experience that they had. But once they started receiving support from Sony, the team's skill and the development situation just overall improved and kind of brought us to where we are now, which allowed them to expand the art direction, the character story, the combat system, everything. It was also originally a PS4 game, and they've shifted it to PS5 only. So honestly, just top to bottom, when I read all that, I'm like, hey, right on, guys. Good job. Shout out to you guys. Because Lost Soul Aside looks really cool. So, good work top to bottom. The last one is going to be involving Tides of Annihilation. Just some more info and some clarification info that came out with that. Where the gameplay is apparently going to be more like Devil May Cry, which, okay, I can see that. It will have that dual knight fighting system with over 10 spectral knights that you can summon. Very challenging boss fights, but there will be difficulty modes, so you're not just stuck on the one difficulty all game. There will be some light RPG elements, skill trees, different armor and playstyles, 4 main weapons, etc. About 30 hours of game length as well, and the game is currently in its alpha phase with a 2026 release. So.
Yeah, I kind of assumed, like, when I saw the like gameplay of it, because I think I mentioned it last week that they had the gameplay trailer out for it.
Yeah.
It's like it very much had that like DMC feel to it, or like that look to it. So I mean, it still looks incredible.
Yeah, looks insane. Really excited for this one. Just the entire premise about it. The modern like medieval fantasy like Arthian approach they've taken for the world. Like again, it's like with Expedition, they nailed the vibe. The vibe pulls you in. Everything else just looks cool. So really excited to see more on Tides of Annihilation. Zach, I put this one in here for you. I thought this was kind of interesting. Altair Ariza, producer, said that Altair Ariza saved the entire series. His exact quote is that when he stepped in as producer, the pressure was immense. If Reza failed, it would have been the end of the series.
That doesn't surprise me.
Yeah, so I saw that, and I saw someone relate it to Fire Emblem, where it's like another Fire Emblem Awakening situation. So I don't know, shout out to that, because now you have the new one coming out like what, here in like a month?
Give or take.
Like, was it Yuma, I think?
Yeah, it's the start of the next trilogy.
Yeah, so yeah, no, shout out to that. Shout out to
Does
that.
not surprise me at all.
Yeah. I know nothing about the series really, besides just the success of this one. So if you're saying it doesn't surprise you, I'm gonna take your word for it.
Yeah, because the PS3 set, there was 3 that came out during the PS3. I mean, they weren't bad games. It's just no one was looking at that series.
Yeah.
And then Riza came out on 4, and that confused me when that game series came out, because like, oh no, a new Atelier game, and then it blew up and I went, why? I was just like, because I've played the first one and I very much enjoyed it. It is a very good game. I was just like, okay, everybody, join this franchise again.
Hop on, let's go.
I mean, because we got set remakes of all the PS3 generation ones, and as set packs of their 3 games. So
Yeah. Next thing I've got is Ubisoft announced Rainbow Six Siege X. It's just a massive overhaul of Rainbow Six graphics, sound, and gameplay. So
also known as Rainbow Siege Smite 2.
accurate, yes, 100%. Because that was immediately what everyone said is that okay, so we're not getting a new game, we're just getting this. Okay, got it. There's also a countdown on the Tony Hawk Pro Skater website set for 3-4. And from everything that I've seen, it should just be Tony Hawk Pro Skater 3 and 4 remakes.
So I don't know if this is true, but something came in my feed. Apparently, the Call of Duty devs put in a Easter egg on one of their multiplayer maps. It's like a whole It's like a whole Tony Hawk room.
Really?
With just a screen that has the date for the announcement that they announced here.
Oh, really? I didn't see that. That's cool, though.
I don't know if it was fake or if that was someone, or if it was real.
Right. If that's real, that would be pretty sick. I'm gonna have to go look into that.
You know, I'm surprised to see like Tony Hawk remakes coming through.
Right. I mean, the first set of remakes was like incredible
Oh yeah,
in terms of.
Well, yeah, it's just
received.
I didn't think we were going to get the next set. Even Tony Hawk has talked about it, where he's like, we've talked about it, but I don't know if it's going to happen.
Well, it's one of those like it's hard for me to like imagine that people are excited for a skateboarding game in this day.
It is a
Right.
weird genre.
Yeah.
That
It's like that feels like something that was like a 2000s thing.
it was very much a 2090s era thing where that
Yeah.
was a real big scene.
It's like here we are 2025 and it's going to be coming back.
Yeah. Hey, don't forget there's a new skate coming too. So shout out to that.
Supposedly.
Yeah, supposedly if that doesn't end up getting canceled, they're still working on it. So. Let's see. Next up, Tales of Ashrar, the Lord of the Rings game, has been delayed to 7/29/25. So it was supposed to come out next month.
That's the crafting one, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's like
that's
farm
the
sim.
like the cozy game.
Yeah.
So I mentioned that to Christina, and she told me that because she's big into the cozy games, farm game stuff. Apparently, everyone that's had access to it, in terms of like like any alpha or beta stuff, apparently it runs like dog shit. It is like, so when I saw this news, that was the first thing I thought of, is everything that she told me, where it's like the people who's gotten a chance to play it, it is not good.
So it's probably a good call then.
Yeah, probably a good call to push this one back. All the feedback they got worked, and they're just like, man, maybe we should delay this a little bit, Next up is a rumor that Rocksteady could be working on a PlayStation exclusive Batman Beyond game, which would also be setting up a new trilogy for Batman Beyond. There's been a lot of rumors and reports for a while that Batman Beyond was going to get rebooted in some capacity and kind of come back, but everyone just assumed it'd be like another series. But no, apparently it could actually just be this new video game trilogy, which would be cool because Batman Beyond is our era, really cool Batman. Really cool idea and concept for the Batman story. So getting Rocksteady behind it in a single player experience would be a lot of fun.
I'm gonna be honest. I'd take Nicolas Cage Batman.
You take the no, it was Nicolas Cage Superman.
No, they're Nicolas Cage voices. No, that's a different story. I'm thinking of Spider-Man.
Yeah,
Noir.
you're thinking of Spider-Man Noir, which he is going to be in the live action Spider-Man Noir.
Yes.
So shout out. But yeah, either way, shout out. Next up, I thought this was interesting just because, like, as soon as I saw this, I wanted to shout this out because it just reminded me so much of these bullshit mobile ads. So apparently, Pokemon Company has reached a substantial settlement with operators of a Chinese mobile game called Pocket Monster Remake. Wanted to shout this out because I know for a fact you guys know what I'm talking about. Where this is one of those mobile games that just so very clearly is the biggest ripoff in the world, where they just completely reuse exact assets, but then just paint it in we're a different game kind of skin. You know what I mean? This is one of those.
Well, I know the type of game.
It's the type of game is what I mean.
I've never heard of this.
See, well, what I meant was you guys know the type of game I'm talking about.
Yeah. Dude, I play idle games on my phone. Of course, I know what these
I know.
are.
Because
I play the same idle game like as a different skin every year.
Because like the shot that I saw of the game is like it said had like a different like HUD whatever in terms of like, you know, how many pocket monsters you have, like the little balls on the screen whatever. But like the trainer you were was it was Serena up front. And the trainer that you're going against is Ash, just in a different outfit. I saw this, I'm like, this is one of those damn mobile ad games that I see all the damn time, where it's like it's very clearly the biggest ripoff on the planet.
I bet it was pretty fun though.
I'm sure it probably was. And now they're gonna pay out their entire lot. They're gonna pay out generations worth of their family to the Pokemon Company, probably. Let's see. The last thing I've got is The Last of Us Season 2 premieres April 13th. So I'll be looking forward to that because the first season was pretty solid, pretty good. You guys got any news that you guys want to shout out?
R.I.P. to Peter Jason. He was the voice of
I saw that.
Fallout 2's Sergeant and the voice actor of Dizzy from Gears of War.
Yeah, I saw that news earlier too.
Passed away at 80.
Unfortunate. Shout out. What you, John? You got anything?
I don't know. I probably mentioned it before that with Path of Exile 2, Path of Exile 1, like was getting less development because a lot of the people had been moved over to Path of Exile 2 for that time.
Yeah.
As kind of a make do, they were gonna start a 1 month kind of crazy. We're gonna do a bunch of experimental change how all the ascendancies and everything works for Path of Exile 1. Kind of just here's some crazy ideas that we've had. Go have fun. Mm-hmm. I think that started.
Nice.
I meant to. It's either started or it's starting next week. But I was going to play it, but Avowed came out, and then Monster Hunter Wilds is going to come out, so not going to check it out.
Yeah. Gotcha. All right, I guess all that's left is Gamestetic Game of the Week, which did come prepared. I was debating on a couple different games. I mentioned one of them to you earlier. I think the one that I'm going to go with though, because like I had three in mind, and when I thought about one of them, then my brain immediately went to another one, kind of in the same realm. So the one I'm going to shout out, because I guess it's kind of news relevant with a very huge announcement for us that took place last week with Digimon Story Time Stranger, is I want to shout out one of my favorite Digimon games, Digimon Rumble Arena 2. Love this game to death. Came out on the PS2 and the GameCube. It's basically just like Super Smash Brothers with Digimon. There was the OG one that came out on the PlayStation. Also played that. A lot of fun as a kid jumping into Rumble Arena, having a great time on the PlayStation. But Rumble Arena 2 takes it to the next level. It brings it up to Digimon Frontiers, which was awesome for me because I loved that season. Digimon's getting the chance to play as like a Goonimon was really cool. But there's not a lot to like drive home and talk about for the game. It's just, like I said, it is a Smash Brothers style Digimon game, and Digimon Rumble Arena 2, still to this day, I have it in there now, is still an absolute blast to play on the GameCube, as I'm sure it is also on the PS2. So if you come across this game and you're a Digimon fan, it's 100% worth a pickup, no matter the price, because I think it might be kind of pricey. I cannot remember. But it is an absolute just blast to play. It is just a great time to play with some friends or even just by yourself. Cannot recommend this game enough just for a fun little party game, especially if you're a Digimon fan. Would absolutely love a new Rumble Arena to ever happen. Never will. It will never happen.
No,
but
probably not.
Lord have mercy, would I be so pumped if a new Digimon Rumble Arena
You
happens.
can't be too greedy. We're
I know,
we're
I
like
know.
eating at the scraps of the new Digimon Stories
know.
game we're getting.
I know. I can't ask for too much, but damn it, Rumble Arena 2 is so much fun. Have you played it? Dude, it's so much fun. I got one of these days we're gonna have to sit down and play it.
I was
Man,
going to say
it's
that's
a
one of the
blast.
hardest Digimon games to find now.
Yeah, it
That-
is so fun.
That and Adventure 2.
You mean World 2?
Is it World or Adventure?
Yeah, World. Well, there might be a Digimon Adventure game. That was the name of the show. But I think it would just be World, probably World 2.
Yeah, Digimon World 2.
Yeah. Some other great Digimon World games would be like the ones for the DS, the Dawn and the Dusk. Those were a lot of fun too. But no, Digimon Rumble Arena 2 though, wanted to make that Gamestead game of the week just because it's a really fun game that you need to play. All right, I think that's it. So let me hit the music. Let's get out of here, boys.
Like, comment, subscribe, rate. Whatever your platform allows, it does help. We talked about a lot of random crap. Take note. Whatever you thought was important, let us know.
Yeah, Derek, think he said more. And if you like what you saw with us here, we do these live streams every Saturday, usually about 6 p.m. Central Time. So you can come check us out then.
Yep, and we'll be back next week, like he was saying, which, full disclaimer, might be distracted next week because we will be watching the Elimination Chamber while doing the show. So we might be a little distracted, but we will be back to talk about Pokemon Presents and really anything else. Shout out to that. But make sure to check out some Rogue Energy with the Fur link down below, as well as Agent Inc. and Sparky3shop.com, and pick up some merch. We appreciate that. Check out the Patreon if you want to support us further. Shout out to our Tier 2 patron, Hannah. We appreciate the hell out of you. Join the Discord. Be a friend. Tell a friend. Until next time, bye.